The body fluid compartments, extracellular and intracellular fluids. Textbooks. Guyton and Hall. Textbook of Medical Physiology. 11th edition. Pages 469 to 482. Textbooks. Guyton and Hall. Textbook of Medical Physiology. A South Asian edition. 2013. Pages 309 to 482. The body fluid compartments. Primary organisms evolved in the world's oceans. The water brought them nutrients and took in metabolic products. In multicellular organisms, most cells lost contact with the external environment, and this environment for creatures that came out of water changed significantly. But a part of that ocean splashes in us even now, being the basis of the internal environment of the organism. We are out of the water, so we love getting back in the water. Functions. Water in the animal body performs a number of functions. As a solvent for transportation of nutrients. As a medium for excretion. A means for heat control. As a lubricant for joints. And for shock absorption. The maintenance of a relatively constant volume and a stable composition of the body fluids is essential for homeostasis. The problems in clinical medicine arise because of abnormalities in the control systems that maintain this constancy of the body fluids. In the average 70 kg adult human, the total body water is about 60% of the body weight, or about 42 liters. This percentage can change depending on age, gender, and degree of obesity. As a person grows older, the percentage of total body weight that is gradually decreases. This is due in part to the fact that aging is usually associated with an increased percentage of the body weight being fat, which decreases the percentage of water in the body. Because women normally have more body fat than men, they contain slightly less water than men in proportion to their body weight. Therefore, when discussing the average body fluid compartments, we should realize that variations exist, depending on age, gender, and percentage of body fat. The body fluid compartments. Summary of body fluid regulation, including the major body fluid compartments and the membranes that separate these compartments. The values shown are for an average 70 kg person. The total body fluid is distributed mainly between two compartments, the extracellular fluid and the intracellular fluid. The extracellular fluid is divided into the interstitial fluid and the blood plasma. There is another small compartment of fluid that is referred to as transcellular fluid. This compartment includes fluid in the synovial, peritoneal, pericardial, and intraocular spaces, as well as the cerebrospinal fluid. It is usually considered to be a specialized type of extracellular fluid, although in some cases, its composition may differ markedly from that of the plasma or interstitial fluid. All the transcellular fluids together constitute about 1 to 2 liters. Let's repeat. The total body fluid is distributed mainly between two compartments, the extracellular fluid and the intracellular fluid. The extracellular fluid is divided into the interstitial fluid and the blood plasma. There is another small compartment of fluid that is referred to as transcellular fluid. This compartment includes fluid in the synovial, peritoneal, pericardial, and intraocular spaces, as well as the cerebrospinal fluid. It is usually considered to be a specialized type of extracellular fluid, although in some cases, its composition may differ markedly from that of the plasma or interstitial fluid. All the transcellular fluids together constitute about 1 to 2 liters. Intracellular fluid compartment. About 28 of the 42 liters of fluid in the body are inside the 75 trillion cells and are collectively called the intracellular fluid. Thus, the intracellular fluid constitutes about 40% of the total body weight in an average person. The fluid of each cell contains its individual mixture of different constituents, but the concentrations of these substances are similar from one cell to another. In fact, the composition of cell fluids is remarkably similar even in different animals, ranging from the most primitive microorganisms to humans. For this reason, the intracellular fluid of all the different cells together is considered to be one large fluid compartment. All the fluids outside the cells are collectively called the extracellular fluid. Together these fluids account for about 20% of the body weight, or about 14 liters in a normal 70 kg adult. The two largest compartments of the extracellular fluid are the interstitial fluid, which makes up more than 3/4 of the extracellular fluid, and the plasma, which makes up almost 1/4 of the extracellular fluid, or about 3 liters. The plasma is the noncellular part of the blood. It exchanges substances continuously with the interstitial fluid through the pores of the capillary membranes. These pores are highly permeable to almost all solutes in the extracellular fluid except the proteins. Therefore, the extracellular fluids are constantly mixing, so that the plasma and interstitial fluids have about the same composition except for proteins which have a higher concentration in the plasma. Fluid intake and output. Fluid intake and output are balanced during steady-state conditions. The relative constancy of the body fluids is remarkable because there is continuous exchange of fluid and solutes with the external environment as well as within the different compartments of the body. For example, there is a highly variable fluid intake that must be carefully matched by equal output from the body to prevent body fluid volumes from increasing or decreasing. Daily intake of water. Water is added to the body by two major sources. 1. It is ingested in the form of liquids or water in the food, which together normally add about 2,100 milliliters per day to the body fluids, and 2. It is synthesized in the body as a result of oxidation of carbohydrates, adding about 200 milliliters per day. This provides a total water intake of about 2,300 milliliters per day. Intake of water, however, is highly variable among different people and even within the same person on different days, depending on climate, habits, and level of physical activity. Daily loss of body water. Insensible water loss. Some of the water losses cannot be precisely regulated. For example, there is a continuous loss of water by evaporation from the respiratory tract and diffusion through the skin, which together account for about 700 milliliters per day of water loss under normal conditions. This is termed insensible water loss because we are not consciously aware of it, even though it occurs continually in all living humans. The insensible water loss through the skin occurs independently of sweating and is present even in people who are born without sweat glands. The average water loss by diffusion through the skin is about 300 to 400 ml/day.